Okay, so we're all aware of how um Gojo shifted the Jujutsu Kaisen world and everything about it. The power is everything they had to like change just to match up to him. But there's a reason for this. There's someone else who shifted how the way of Jujutsu works, or rather the Jujutsu Kaisen world, which is Riko Amanai. And let me explain why. And what if she didn't die? I think personally, yeah, G Gojo on his own after his birth and everything, he already had a huge target on his head, placed on by Toji, because he wanted to just take down Gojo for literally no pay, no nothing. He just wanted to prove that you don't need cursed energy or jujitsu to jujitsu sorcery to beat a jujitsu sorcerer. He just wanted to prove that to the Zenin clan for casting him out, casting his family out and everything. Okay, so how does this play into killing Riko and everything? What if she didn't die? What if Riko Amanai didn't die? Well, a lot would have happened because Riko Amanai's death was honestly the start of everything that possibly could have happened, everything that didn't happen, everything that would have happened. Okay, and we're gonna assume, yeah, that assuming the only way that okay, so we're assuming, yeah, that Riko Amanai the only way Riko Amanai actually gets to live is assuming that Gojo beats Toji instead. And if Gojo did beat Toji, then none of this would have happened. Gojo would not have become the strongest sorcerer, or at least as strong as he is now. Because whether you like it or not, the reverse curse technique opened up like a new chapter for Gojo, a new way of using his powers, a new way of using infinity and learning red and everything. Even though he had the idea he could never fully utilize it, and well, now with the reverse curse technique he can, and he needed to be on the verge of death to be able to do that. But that's because Toji put him on the verge of death. And listen, that might not be as much of a feat as you think, but if you think about it, it took him years. It took people years to actually find a way to not defeat Gojo, but like it took him years to finally, actually attack Gojo and everything. And like, I mean, fair enough though. He had no reason to this and that. But yeah, not a lot of people went after Gojo. Well, even if they did, they're probably not gonna win. So Toji had the information, he had everything he needed because he was provided by it. But assuming he fails, assuming he didn't put Gojo on the brink of death, assuming he lost to Gojo, the whole Jujutsu Kaisen world would have shifted as well, because the power creep wouldn't have been as much as it was before. Let me explain further. At least Riko Amanai doesn't die. Riko Amanai doesn't die. What did they call it? Geto? Yeah. Geto and Gojo never get on bad terms. They never have to fight. They never have to separate from each other, because while Gojo and Geto separated for due to the power gap he noticed between him and Gojo, there were other factors that just managed to push that further, because after he saw the non-bully, the commoners rather the non-jujitsu sorcerers clapping and cheering on for this girl's death and everything, he started to question his philosophies, and so did Gojo too. At that moment, both of them were like opposites to each other, because Gojo at that point wanted to kill them and Geto didn't. Or at least he was questioning it. That's when the change started. He started to question his own philosophy and everything. Both of them started to question each other's philosophies. Gojo started to improve and widen the power gap between him and Geto, while Geto dropped further and further into a deep, dark hole, and like it was eating him up inside as to what he's meant to do. He was losing his own identity, because his own identity, he built it on the fact that jujutsu sorcerers are meant to protect non-jujutsu sorcerers, and now he was questioning that fact, knowing how bad non-jujutsu sorcerers could have been, knowing how bad non-jujutsu sorcerers are. After seeing that scene, it changed him, but because of that, he never manages to see such a scene. Or rather, he does meet them eventually, probably, but there's not that big of an impact. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change how he views the world anymore, because he said that, oh yeah, he knew that seeing this, wouldn't make a change. But I believe what made a change was Riko Amanai's death. Them clapping at it, them praising it, seeing this girl die and everything. It's what made him question so much. If that never happened, Riko goes home. She continues school. She continues She continues her life, essentially, because she's not gonna assimilate with Tengen. We both knew that at that point. She's not gonna assimilate with Tengen, because she was about to accept Geto's offer to just go home. And even after that, the problem with Tengen would even be solved, because there would probably be another star plasma vessel, or he just was stable. They never really explained it all too much, at least not to my knowledge at this point in time. Or maybe I'm forgetting something. Nonetheless, it doesn't really matter. The gap. Gojo never becomes the strongest. Geto never becomes a monkey hater. And Riko Amanai, obviously, she gets to grow up and live her life. She gets to become friends with Gojo and everything. But eventually, let's say, assuming this all happens, it just probably means that, Megumi is eventually sold to the Zenin clan. That is also what it means. It essentially means Megumi is sold to the Zenin clan. Or he might not be. Who knows? I don't think Toji would see any point in telling Gojo about this. Or maybe he does. I don't really. The thing is, Toji only told Gojo because he saw everything from a different perspective at that point. But I don't think if after their first encounter, or their first fight, during this, I don't think Toji would have actually, cared. I don't think Toji would have really cared too much to even tell him. So Megumi might have become a Zenin, and then a lot of season 1's arc wouldn't even happen. Because most likely Megumi might not have been there, or it would just have played out differently. I really don't want to have to work out the details right now because I'm quite lazy. But yeah, I'm just saying that Riko Amanai's death plays a huge part in how the Jujutsu world went, at least to the Jujutsu world we love today. And well, it's really a shocker to think about how much it's affected everyone. And I believe that, Gojo would have probably maybe learned RCT later on fighting Sukuna, but he would have probably died. He would have died sooner to Sukuna eventually. Maybe 15-fingered Sukuna, maybe. The same Sukuna that defeated Mahoraga, I believe that Gojo would have died to him, because they wouldn't have need to seal Gojo at that point, though. they might not have needed to seal Gojo at that point, so we would have probably gotten a 15-finger Sukuna versus Gojo fight, because Gojo might not have been strong enough for them to consider him, you know, to be left out of the equation. But I feel like they still would need to. I don't know. It just wouldn't have been that big of a plan. It could be, it could not be. Who knows? I really don't want to have to go too in depth into this. But yeah, because mostly what changed was their philosophies, Gojo and Geto especially. So, and if Gojo and Geto change, it's essentially what changes the Jujutsu Kaisen world altogether. Because they were the strongest at the time, and they both improved after that, but in their own different ways. But now they believe they are the strongest, and they stay that way. Both of them stay the strongest. They still grow, but not as exponentially as they both did. They didn't take the risks that they both did when, you know, they went their separate ways. So their philosophy never changed. They don't proceed to push themselves so hard to become even stronger. So yeah, it might just change the entire way the Jujutsu Kaisen world works. And so if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my throne profile. It's in my YouTube bio. And if you want to check out my channel memberships, if you want to support me a bit more, please join up. I really need it. I really need the support. But if you watch this far, thanks for watching. Thank you to everyone for viewing the video, and well, I'll see you in my next video. Peace.